congratulations on winning the Continental Cup. Describe this feeling in this moment right now.
It's honestly amazing right now. It's my first time in Paris, my first time in France, and I feel amazing. Like the support I've been given by everyone, my family, my friends, it just feels amazing.
Now, you were an underdog coming into this tournament, playing against some of the best players in the world. What was your strategy to win this tournament?
I just wanted to play my game. I knew every single one of them, and I knew it was going to be every match was going to be tough, but I managed to pull through and win this tournament.
And as you said, your first time here in Paris. Describe what this whole experience has been like for you this week at Paris Games Week.
It's honestly amazing. Everyone's been treating me well, and all these people, like the support, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Well, congratulations once again. Enjoy this moment. You're champion, you guys. Let's head back inside to the analyst desk for more.
What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Mike LaBelle, and today we've got something special. I've got world champion Jackson in the house. How are you doing, my guy?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Thank you for having me.
It's early in the morning. I'm surprised you've got good energy like that. Especially for you. It's much earlier than...
Yeah, it's like 8:30 a.m.
8:30 a.m. Just got back from France. Congratulations. You repped North America extremely well, obviously winning the entire tournament. We haven't had a champion. We were talking about this before we went live. Since 2010, with Nanad winning the FIFA Interactive World Cup, now represents the Columbus crew. This series, if you guys are brand new, is basically how to get better at FIFA. I've done this in the past. It's going to be a little more of a conversation piece. And if you have any questions that you'd like me to direct towards future players that we're going to talk to, put that down below in the comments. Also, make sure to follow myself and Jackson on Twitter. I'm going to put his Twitch down below as well. He's going to start streaming ASAP. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
ASAP?
yes.
Okay. Starting next week, he's going to be streaming. But we get all these questions. We get the feedback. A lot of the FIFA community is on Twitter, so I really encourage you guys to interact with us on Twitter. But yeah, in the comments, if you have any questions for future players, put that down below. And who would you like to see me talk to? Who would you like to see me interview? This should be a long video. Go get your popcorn out. We're going to have some gameplay on display, and we're going to include a little bit of everything. So I wanted to start out and kind of ask you a little bit more about yourself, because even myself, who's been in the competitive community for many, many years, you're somewhat new to the competitive world. Not necessarily being good at FIFA, but in terms of people seeing you competing. I feel like last year was the first year that I really started seeing your name pop up a lot. So tell us a little bit more about like your history as a person and maybe your history as a competitive player when you got into FIFA.
Okay. I'm 20 years old. I live in California near the Mexican border. I speak Spanish and English perfectly, and I've been playing FIFA ever since I was a kid, like 6 years old, 7 years old, and you know, I play soccer in real life as well, so I love playing FIFA. Like me and my homies, like we after school or like after practice, we just go play FIFA. And I noticed that like over the years, I was actually getting better. I started playing FIFA online since like FIFA 2010. So it's been a long time since I've been playing, obviously. And I've noticed that like I was just kind of like gifted, since all the time like I would be my friends or like I would play online and like I would beat people ever since at a young age. So yeah, and then I started playing competitive FIFA 18. I didn't really know much about the competitive scene because I didn't even play Ultimate Team. Like Ultimate Team was not my game mode. But ever since I saw like FIFA 17 tournaments, I was like, wow, like I want to get into this. You know, I want to win some money as well. So FIFA 18, I went full focus while I was still attending college, and now I'm here, 3 events later.
It's kind of crazy because even though we're like a decade apart in terms of kind of where we started in playing and competing, our stories are very similar. I played soccer, and after soccer I would go play against my friends, and then I was like, okay, I'm clearly the best in the neighborhood, or I'm the best around my friends. What's next? And that's when online play happened. And at that time period, we're going back to like 2005, 2006. I had like a friend that was playing Halo competitively, and he brought over the big Ethernet cord, and my parents probably hated me forever for dragging like a 50-foot cord through the house. I don't know, what's your setup look like?
No, my setup was horrible. Like I remember like playing like in a completely opposite room, and I was playing like PS3 on FIFA 2010, and I was playing on Wi-Fi, and I was wondering to myself like, why am I always lagging? Like I don't understand. Like I didn't understand. I was still like a kid. I was like 14, 15, maybe even 13 when I played like my first competitive online game, first online game.
No, absolutely, man. And when you started playing online, like in these later years now, when you started seeing the competitive scene, like you were saying in FIFA 17, when you got into it in FIFA 18, did everything click very quickly for you, like in terms of building up the squad? Because you said you were new to Ultimate Team and everything.
Yeah.
And then starting this weekend league process, because it's really a grind. It feels like a job, especially when it was 40 games versus being 30 games.
Yeah, like everything was completely new to me. Like I didn't know like what to expect. You know, like I was still like I was new. Like I remember like having a shitty team like the first few weeks, but like when like weekend league got on, like that's when I started playing more. Like I started getting good results, and like that's why I didn't qualify for the first event. Like I was still new, but I knew I could do it. I had to like wait for the second time around, and that's when I started like playing well. I had a good team, and that's how I qualified myself for Manchester.
No, absolutely. And if you guys, you're not, I guess, super involved with maybe the competitive scene, Joxon just won the Continental Cup that happened at Paris Games Week. And that's kind of what I was saying in the intro, where I was like, Jox is a world champion. I don't know if I went into that information. I just assumed that people knew. But just in case you've been out of the world for a little while in terms of what's happening in the competitive scene. And that was basically the first major event. So this is the event that everybody tunes into. At Paris Games Week, it used to be always ESWC. And everybody would watch and see what's happening at the pro level, who's winning these events, what do I need to shift, what do I need to get better at. And that's where I kind of want to transition this conversation. I want to look at your team and your tactics, not just at the event, but also with qualification. So
Yeah.
you guys at home, you always ask me to put thousands of dollars, real money, into the game in order to be successful. And I say not necessarily, because you can always grind time and kind of make that trade. But I have your team pulled up right now. This is the team that Joxon used in order to qualify for the Continental Cup. Is it a good team, especially at this time period of the game? Yes. But is it the best team? Is it all icon team? Not at all. And I kind of wanted to ask you, so what were you playing with this team? What did the tactics look like? And what players kind of stood out? Because you've got a couple guys that are overpowered when you look at a Martial or maybe even a Son or a Valencia. And then you have a lot of other household names that people are used to seeing with the Neymars, the Mbappes, the Pogbas. You even got a Rio Ferdinand, the baby icon card. Yeah. So kind of give us the run through. Give us the mindset of Joxon.
Well, I used the 4-2-3-1 and a balance custom tactics. And my custom tactics, they're like, many people have asked me for them, and like I've always said, like they don't do miracles. They're not miracle workers, but we'll show them to you guys right now. And I use a 4-2-3-1, Pogba and Kante in the middle, and the 4 attackers. But the players that stood out the most for me were Neymar, because he's a 5-star weak foot. He's so good in this game, and Heung-min Son. He's my main scorer. So, yeah.
In the 4-2-3-1, where do you have those attackers positioned?
Okay, Neymar, I have him in the middle. Martial left cam, Mbappe right cam, and Heung-min Son up top as a striker.
Yeah, you are lying. He is going to be your main scorer then.
Yeah, I'm not lying.
And, I mean, we all played in the same qualifiers for the Continental Cup, and this is something that we gave feedback. I don't know if you gave the same feedback, but I said, guys, we cannot sit online for 10, 12, 13 hours to play a tournament. It felt like I was playing off of fatigue, not off of ability when I was playing in those qualifiers. I don't know if you felt that way, where it was like I felt like it was a competition of, okay, am I going to be able to get through the next hour of being still focused?
Yeah, honestly, like it was a new experience because I never done this before. Obviously, like playing like 10 hours sitting down, not moving. I couldn't go out to eat because, like the other game might start and you might get disqualified. So I was just sitting down there, like, I was like, damn, like, I'm going to hate myself if I don't win this. Winning it, the whole thing, and I was like, I'm going to go eat. But I had no energy. Like, I was shaking, like, driving my car.
Were there any matches that stood out for you, or maybe any opponents within all those games that you were like, damn, this is the time that I knew I had a good chance of winning, or I got through a really tough matchup, maybe, back and forth? Mm-hmm. Anything in particular?
Yeah, like, I think the semifinal and the final, I lost the first game. And when I lost the first game, I was like, damn, like, is this really over? Like, all these hours? But I managed to come back, and, like, I managed to, like, pull myself through and, like, come back on both games, which I felt really good for. But I think it's just, like, a matter of mentality. Like, it's up to you, man. Like, if you want to do this, like, you can do it.
No, absolutely. And the reason that he said he lost the first game was the best of 3 for the qualifiers. So you still had an opportunity to basically rebuttal or come back or make changes to your game plan and to your tactics.
Yeah.
And then I want to ask you now about, of course, the team that you used at the event looks much different because you had access to all players. And, I mean, you just basically iconed up the whole squad.
Mm-hmm.
What did you notice that was different at the event versus maybe being or playing online? Because a lot of people would say, oh, there's all these big names, and most people wouldn't say, oh, Jockson's a big name. Unless you're in North America, people started to really see your name frequent everything in our scene. But in Europe, this would be like kind of your first real big tester outside of, you know, the Manchester event and a couple of the previous events. You didn't have like a breakthrough. You know, last year the stories of North America were like the Goal Machines or the Remy Martins, where they had these really breakthrough, huge performances at like a top 4 or a top 8. Even though you were there, I feel like those overshadowed maybe that you were there.
Yes. So last year I didn't really get to do much at the international level, and that was the goal for me going into this year. Like I wanted to do something like good at the international level, which I did. Like first event of the year, like I managed to do it. And like you said, I was in the group of dead. I was with Aga Rosenmeyer, T-Mux, Thomas Lees, and all those 3 like are really good players. So I didn't like expect much of myself because it was the first event going into FIFA 19, but I managed to like have my mentality good and just smash every game possible. Like I was fully concentrated, everything was flowing. I had a full icon team. I think I did a pretty good job. Yeah.
No doubt. Nobody's going to be able to say that you didn't deserve it. I guess the question then is, what were kind of the keys for you at this tournament in terms of having success, mentality-wise and also within the gameplay? Like, everybody's trying to get good at FIFA 19 still right now. It's relatively early, and a lot of people feel like they haven't hit their upward swing. They haven't hit like where they're going to be in FIFA, so they want to know what should they work on. So if you were teaching people and they were like, hey, Jockson, what do I need to do better? What are the keys to success for me in FIFA 19? You would say?
I would say to find the right formation, the right formation and the right custom tactics that you know feel well, instead of like going for someone like famous, like and like a professional player, and you see the custom tactics and the formation that they're running, and you're like, oh, like I want to do that. But like you don't feel well playing. Like I feel like just like follow yourself and keep grinding the game, because like this did not come to me just like that. It's been years of playing.
Well, it's also worth mentioning when you say that, and I talk about this on my channel a lot. Be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
It's so important when you analyze your gameplay, or after a match, maybe you lost, you won, whatever. You say, okay, what did I do well? What didn't I do well? And it's important that you're honest with yourself so you know what you need to work on, or like you were saying, if you need a different formation. I try not to stress tactics as much. Instructions I feel like are really important, but with custom tactics or just tactics in general, I think they matter. But I feel like people put too much emphasis, and you said this earlier, they're not miracle workers.
Yeah.
And another thing too, when you're looking at pros teams, if they have a full icon squad, that won't. The tactics they run with that team might not work for you when you're using an overpowered squad with a bunch of 81s, 82s, and 83s.
Yeah. Time finishing is the most important thing in the game. Some people turn it off, but I'm like, wow. Are you really
I don't think that's the move. I don't think that's the move at all.
No,
turning it off.
Exactly. All my goals were mainly time finishing. Like, it's so important this year that you can hit like first time finesses from outside the box. Like you're at a disadvantage if you turn it off, basically. All my goals were like that. And what else? I guess like having like physical players in this FIFA version is really important as well. But other than that, it's just like your mentality is very important. Like going into the game, you need to know like what you're gonna play and how you're gonna play it. If you're going against a full icon team, you need to play smarter. You don't like, you're not gonna play the same against a full icon team versus like a full 82 rated squad. You need to play smarter, obviously.
I definitely agree with you. And then tournament, a lot is about self-belief as well. Like even though you had a tough group, obviously you were able to go out there and play your game. You don't want to put people on a pedestal. What is the key to defending for you in FIFA 19?
I think the key to defending for me are the defensive midfielders and a 4-2-3-1. Because with them, like, you can cover so much space. Like, basically, what I did against like most of my games, I wouldn't say just like run around with them, but like you have to like cover the spaces with the finesse shots, because finesse shots are so OP in this game. You have to like cover like the middle space that other pros try to get when they try hitting finesse shots. So like the Hullet and Vieira, or like whoever your central midfielders are, you need to like try and cover the space so that they don't like shoot the long shots. And I think it's part of like analyzing like your opponent as well, because if you know that you're going against this player and this player like crosses a lot, you're gonna like try to like get him like not to cross as often, or like make him cross from like another space that he doesn't like. So I think it's like part of like analyzing your opponent as well, because in a weekend league game, like you can tell what your opponent is up to like 20 minutes in, 15 minutes in. You're gonna like, if he does it like often, he's probably gonna do it again.
What's different between like playing online and competing at tournaments? Because when you're going against pros, they're obviously going to be able to adjust a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're playing online, a lot of times people have made habits of that rinse, wash, repeat. This is what I do to score goals. This is what I do to defend. And it's a little bit different at a tournament. I was going to ask you, did you feel that difference between players that actually can adjust or will make a lot of changes versus a lot of times online people are just not sure. They're like, I don't know if this is a shift I should make, or I don't feel as confident maybe in this formation.
Yes, in tournaments, it's very important to know like what you are up to, because when I was down, I made sure that like I switched things up really quick, because if you're down, like in the final, I was down 2-0, and that's when I started putting like the pressure up, the depth up in the defense, and that's what worked out for me, you know. So like you just gotta take those risks sometimes and make sure that you're like putting yourself out there.
How many formations do you feel like players should have mastered if they want to be at that competitive level in terms of being able to swap on the fly?
I think 2 or 3 formations is enough, like more than enough.
So what's in your CV? Tell us. Well, obviously, we have the 4-2-3-1. What else do you love?
This tournament, I only used the 4-2-3-1 because I mastered it. I think I mastered it like completely. Like that's my go-to formation. But to win it's funny because to win the ESL tournament, I used the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. So it's a completely like opposite gameplay. But if nothing was working out for me, I was probably gonna go with the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. Just those 2 formations I have under my sleeve. That's all.
And I think right now I'm using the 4-2-3-1, similar to you actually, balance, and not like crazy tactics one way or the other. Yeah. And then I like the 4-1-2-1-2, but I use it as more of just a shift of what's happening in the gameplay. I wouldn't say it's more aggressive or more defensive. It's just a different feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then my aggressive formation that I swap into is a 4-2-2-2, which kind of looks like a 4-2-4. It's kind of like your YOLO. I need to get goals back.
Mm-hmm.
Put a lot of bodies in front of you. Obviously, high risk, high reward. But those have been my 3 that I've been most comfortable with thus far in FIFA 19. And I actually wanted to ask you, you know all the expensive players, and you've been grinding the game since the beginning, so you kind of know the cheap players. I'm going to call it pick 3. So let's start with your expensive players. 1 attacker, 1 midfielder, and 1 defender. No price range, anyone. Most valuable in those positions, in your opinion, go.
Attacker, Cristiano Ronaldo, because he brings so much to the offense, physical, height. Midfielder, Vieira, the same thing, physical, height. Defense, Ferdinand. I think he's an absolute beast this year.
So back to back, you think? Last year he was a monster. This year you think he's doing more of the same?
Yeah, definitely.
Attacker, midfielder, defender, all cheaper options or maybe lower rated options. Guys that anyone can pick up. Not everybody's going to be able to get the Vieiras or the Cristiano Ronaldos or the Rio Ferdinands right away. They might take them a long period. So if they can't get those guys, they got to be on a discount shopping tip. Mm-hmm. They're going to Goodwill.
Yeah.
What are they picking up?
All right, so attacker, you got to get Heung-min Son, bro. Best player in the game. Honestly, like one of the best players in the game. He's not that much either. He's a 5-star weak foot, which is amazing. Midfielder, if you have the coins, go for Conte. But if not, if you don't have the coins, go for Fabinho. Medium high, tall, good player. Defender, I would say Bailly for Manchester United. I think he's amazing this year as well.
You guys heard it there. These are his opinions. If you love him, fine. If you hate him, that's fine. It's still on Joxon. And I'm looking right now at Twitter, so we got a few different questions that I think are interesting.
Okay.
So I'm going to open this up. One of them comes in from, I don't know if he's your friend or not, but I mean, y'all live close, sort of.
Okay.
But Remy says, and this is more of a joke question, how many birds have you pulled since becoming the champion? If you guys don't know the slang. Basically, how many women have you pulled? How many ladies? Have you got any more numbers? Are you getting more attention now that you can say you're a FIFA champ, or has that not changed at all?
It's changed a little bit. Like
DMs are starting to get kind of live. Okay.
I got in a few DMs from girls that they're like, oh my god, you need a manager, like take me with you.
We also got another question coming in, and this is from JKO, and he says, you know JKO?
Yes.
From the Revs?
Yes.
Yeah, he said, how did you manage to compete with the full weight of NA on your back? I want to comment on that question from JKO by kind of asking you, do you actually feel that pressure? Like, he's assuming that you have that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know, do you feel it? And if you do feel the pressure, then of course, how did you cope with it?
Honestly, I did not feel any pressure. Thank God. The reason I didn't feel any pressure was because nobody was expecting me to do well, and I was already like beating opponents, and everyone was just like, wow, like what's going on? So no pressure at all. Like I think that's what helped. That like nobody was expecting me to do well. But at the same time, I was still playing my game and being concentrated.
I've never thought when I'm going to tournaments, at least not when I was in a tournament, that I'm carrying the full weight of North America. I don't think that's a good mindset to have. You're not taking any shots at JKO, but you're adding additional pressure. You're putting additional pressure on yourself, but for no reason. Because I don't know that everybody else is viewing it like that. Like when I see an American at a tournament, I want him to do well, but I don't put more pressure on him. I'm not like, he needs to do well. Yeah, I'd like to just see him do well, just because, of course, you're representing our nation. And also, I do feel like a lot of people think that in North America we don't have dope FIFA players. We've always had amazing FIFA players. We just always had a lot less spots.
Exactly.
So, like, let's say we went to a tournament in Europe, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's a 16-person tournament. We would have one spot. If it's a 32-person tournament, we would have one spot. So, like, that's the only reason you don't necessarily see the North American scene sometimes blowing up or doing really well at some of these events. It's not because we don't have the ability, we just don't have the representation.
Yes.
At least that's how it's been in the past. Maybe it'll shift.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, like we obviously, like there's a lot less of us. And well, going into this tournament, there's a bunch of Europeans, but only 2 Americans.
I've played in the same tournament, even though it wasn't called the Continental Cup. It was ESWC, but I was the only American.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the tournament, I think, had 32 or 64 players, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like the odds, I remember losing, this was 2015 was the last one that I played in. And I lost to August in the knockout rounds, but I came out of group and everything like that, but I was literally the only guy. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't because we didn't have other guys that could have been there or that should have been able to qualify. We just only had one qualifier.
Yes. Yeah, it's honestly like shocking that you're
It was
saying
like
that.
10. We had like 10 or 12 French guys in that tournament. I feel like.
Yeah.
When I played it, so it's like, of course, there's a better chance of the French guys doing well, and then you guys at home assuming, all right, there's more French guys that are amazing at FIFA. It's like, well, they had 10 times the spots.
Yes, of course. I absolutely understand what you're saying, and I feel that North America like should not be looked down upon. Definitely, after winning this tournament, now like we should be getting.
No, it's a good start for us.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
a good start.
So to answer your question, JK, we didn't feel the pressure.
Nah.
The next
Yeah.
the next question we have is, what was your mindset going up against? And we've talked about this a little bit today, actually.
Mm-hmm.
What was your mindset going up against maybe better Europeans and still coming out on top? I don't really like the way this question is necessarily worded. I would have said maybe your mindset going up against more notable players.
Yes.
People that everybody expects to do really well.
Okay.
But I just don't like the way when people say arguably better. It's like, well, who knows? It's the first tournament of the year, especially. Like, what do you mean arguably
Yes.
better? It's just arguably more well known.
Exactly. Like you said, like no pressure at all because I knew that like this was the first tournament of FIFA 19. Like nobody expects you to do well, and more if you're American, So I would say my mindset going into this tournament was like, I'm just gonna play my game. I'm just gonna try to do well, and we'll see what happens. That's exactly what like my mindset was.
And it happened. But that's going to wrap this up, man. If you guys enjoyed the content, please drop a thumbs up on the video. Drop Joxon a follow. Like I said, I'll put his Twitter down below. I'll put his Twitch down below. You said you start streaming next week.
Yes, I will.
We've been doing a mini tutorial today, actually,
Yeah.
trying to get everything set up. I'm super excited to watch you play more. I'd like to see your weekend leagues. And big congrats, man, on the Continental Cup. I hope to see you, lift some more trophies this year.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.
Talk about you out of town and myself now. I can't tell them you the person that they ask about. Used to sit in silence, thinking with my eyes low. Call me over with a look, mix you up with my iPhone. Caught me in a higher zone. These nights be a shame if you stayed alone. And karma be a bitch, you just want a bone. I can't even go to bed when the weekend close. Guessing